Chau, thanks for sitting down and talking with me today. We're going to talk some about your mother's death in 2009, but at the same time you're now experiencing your father's fairly rapid decline and likely death within not too long a time. So I wanted to start out today asking you about the time that your mother died, and to just tell me a little bit about what that was like for you.
Well, it was a process. It started out with shock because my mother died at my house 4 days after my first child was born. It's quite a long story, but when I found her, she's already gone, and I knew. So the initial reaction was denial, I think. She was in the bathroom, she was lying there, and it was the last room I looked. And it was, I saw her, I didn't turn the light on, but I saw her. And I immediately turned around and literally ran out of the house. Because I think I didn't want to admit or to know. I called 911. And they walked me through CPR, and I had to turn the light on, go back to the room, turn the light on. And this has all happened within 20 seconds. So I had to turn the light, so I had to look at her. So after that denial, that pain, and then I think that shocking, and that I started crying, I think shortly after her body was they took her in the ambulance. So I think I sobbed for quite a long time. And then there was fear, came days and weeks after that, especially being in my house in the evening around the time my mom passed, which was 4:30, 5 o'clock. So there was around that time dusk came, and I would have fear, and images would come back. Now it's a comfort thing for me to be home, and I won't leave that house ever. So it's quite a process of emotions.
Boy, is it ever. Can you tell us a little bit about your family, your culture, and your siblings, and where you fit in that group of siblings?
I am, I think would say, a first generation immigrant from Vietnam. So my parents moved with most of my family to the United States, and I came along when I was 13. So I lived a lot of my life there. I'm the youngest of 9 children, and all my brothers and sisters are everywhere, scattered out. 2 in Vietnam, and my oldest brother is here, and the youngest sister is in La Crosse also. So I'm the youngest of 9.
And in the Vietnamese culture, when there are major decisions to make, and deciding, maybe even things like funeral arrangements, who typically does a parent go to?
The eldest boy. And in general, it's men or boys, sons are usually help make decisions, carries more energetically as well. Energetically speaking, they are more a lot of responsibilities are on them, whereas the youngest and a girl, the daughter, usually are not the decision makers or doesn't help in make decisions, and that's how it is with my family, particularly with my dad, because he is 81. So that tradition's
very strong.
Very strong. When my mom passed at my house, I felt a lot of the blame. And I know Vietnamese culture, and also our family's Catholic, and I felt it's very heavy in terms of blame and resentment, and it's your fault because mom passed, because she was at your house, she was carrying the grocery in the house. It was too heavy for her. She shouldn't have done that. You should have came out and helped. And I know my dad felt a little bit of responsibility as well, because he was the man. He was supposed to carry the grocery from the car in the house for her, because that's when it happened. It's right after she came in the house. Because he was the man, so he felt that partially responsible for her death, because he didn't walk her in the house. In a way, it really pulled us apart, my brothers and sister. Well, some of my sister. With my brothers and sisters, I became distant to them for a while because of that reason. We didn't talk for a few months. And now my dad is very, very ill, end of life, severe COPD. And funny, because now I am the power of attorney of healthcare for him. And I'm actually getting support from them, which is very, very good thing. But at the same time, it surprised me quite a bit. Initially there were definitely objections, but because my dad lives very close to me, so it makes more sense, and I have resources to do so. So it makes more sense for all of us. So I think they've came to term with that.
It's quite a shift, isn't it? Quite
yeah.
a shift.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm wondering too if you could say a little bit more about feeling comfortable in your home now. I'm not sure that was the word you used, but more peace in your home.
Yeah.
What has brought that about?
Initially, when the phase where I went through, where I was very scared and frightened. My husband was working overnight, and I couldn't be alone. I could not be alone in the evening and nighttime by myself. So we had somebody came and live with us, and that was very helpful. Just another person around. And that that's fear was because I kept seeing images of my mom walking around my house, and it's all in my mind, of course. And the image of her, I've never seen a dead person before prior to this, so it's very shocking to me, and it's still there. So having that image in my mind at that time, it was all the time, so it was very frightening. But I think it gradual for somehow, it's a process. Now I just believe more that her spirits are there. She's there to protect me. There's so many times with my kids falling off from a very high bed to on the floor, a hardwood floor, head first, and he's fine after that. It's almost like I have eyes to see that my mom's there to protect my family. I have that eye to see that for me. So that really brings a lot of comfort for me, and I keep thinking, if I stay in this house, nothing bad will ever happen to me. It's almost like she's there to protect us.
Yeah. What things do you wish would have gone differently when your mother died that maybe you can now carry over and make sure happen the right way when your father dies?
I wish that we would talk to my mom about it more, that her heart was very weak, and that what did she want to get to, if she passed, what did she want to be done in terms of, should they resuscitate her? And they did, which at the time we didn't know, because we didn't have any of that plan in place. We didn't know what CPR, what all of that intubation meant. So we didn't have that plan in place at that time. So it made it very chaotic at that point. Very, very chaotic. So yes, I wish that we had a plan for her. I wish we pay attention more. I wish we were more accepting of her health, so that we were more prepared, but we were not.
And is that different now with your dad?
Yes, 100% different. Now we're talking about hospice. We're talking about, Dad, what do you want? Do you want to go in the hospital and have them try to make you better, but you're so weak now? It's completely different now.
I'm thinking that your mother was able to help you as a family get ready for your father's death in a way that you weren't ready for hers. What happens in the Vietnamese culture after a family member dies? What are some of the traditions that are really important?
They always tend to the body, not to be left alone. They keep the body at home, and they start to do a lot of fruits and offering, incense, so to help the spirit go.
I recall that it's important in your culture to take care of the body, mm-hmm. and that the daughters and the daughters-in-law assisted with preparing your mother,
dressing her, making her look beautiful, making sure she has things that she wanted, just to be near her. And that was a big part of the ritual, I think, is to help her, to dress her, to just so she can go beautifully, where yes. And it helped us. I think for us, one of the reasons why, as a family, us girls did that is so we can bond with her. The boys didn't see her as much as the girls did. I think the boys were more with Dad and do the planning, and the girls were with Mom, making her beautiful, and just to be with Mom.
I can tell that meant a lot to you.
Yeah.
That time.
Yeah.
Given that the things you've just talked about are so important, have you thought about how, when your dad does die, you will want things to go?
Yes, and I think he knows exactly how he wanted to be, and he's starting to communicate a little bit more with that. But he said he had written everything down, so when that comes, we can just follow his instruction.
Do you feel ready for your father's death?
Actually I am. So part of me, I'm starting to grieve, if that makes sense to you. I feel that I'm already, with all those tears, I'm starting to grieve already, and it brings my sister and I closer. And it helps. But yes, I think I'm ready, because we've been talking about it. We understand it more now, and we have more resources for us to go to. And that's something we didn't have with my mom. It's completely opposite. And I think that with the knowledge and with with the resource we have and with what we've been doing and the understanding of this whole thing, it really helped us through this hard time, you know. It's not as hard as it was with my mom.
That was so sudden. She has now left you with a gift of protection in your home and a gift of preparation for your father's death. It's actually quite a legacy that you've gotten from her.
And I think one of the wonderful things about being this culture long enough to understand, to learn how to express love in that way, is it makes the other person feel so much better. And I think one of the big thing now is that sorry. And I said to I brought it up that to make sure he doesn't feel abandoned, that 2 minutes phone call, because he lives alone, make him feel that he's not abandoned. And it's an expression of love. If the boys would be, you know, oh, I have to call Dad, I have to talk for an hour and I don't want to. Well, no, 2 minutes, but the consistency of it, it's the way you do it. Whereas if my brother in Texas would call, and he wouldn't call every day, but now he does.
Oh, wow.
And he would say, Dad, I love you. And I think that meant the world to him. He did that yesterday. And he emailed us. He said, he's so much better after I said that. And it was 2 minutes versus an hour like last week. And he seemed so much better. So it helped him more at peace.
Wow.
So I think that to love, I think, at the end of life for a person is very important.
Very important. And you have beautifully expressed the importance of relationship at the end of life, and that is universal, that crosses all cultures. Even as you speak about your culture, it may not be the common way, but it's something that you're bringing to your family now, and it's helping your father in this transition.
It helps. And I could see it.
Wow.
So.